When things don't go as planned, that can really upset things for us, can't it? Well, we're in the midst of a major disruption right now, and things are not going the way we probably planned for our spring to go. I doubt any of us planned this, what we're in right now, for our spring break and our Easter and our spring season. I doubt any of us had this in mind. If you did, well, then you're very clever indeed. Well, I want you to understand that plans don't always go the way we want them to. And we're certainly experiencing that right now in our personal lives. But businesses, companies, organizations, teams are all experiencing this disruption. So, what do you do when things don't go as planned? It's important to understand that how we respond when things don't go the way we planned, that's what's going to determine our outcomes. And here's the first thing I want to say about when things don't go as planned. Number one, don't take it personally. No, don't take it personally. You weren't singled out in this. This is affecting everybody right now. But here's something else you need to know: no plan is immune from disruption. That's right. No plan. No matter how meticulous it is, how well thought out it is, how well laid out it is, no matter how amazing the plan is, no plan is immune from disruption. So don't take it personally. If you do, that's going to slow you down. It's going to make it much more difficult for you to make necessary adjustments and still get some things done in this season. That's especially true for businesses, organizations, companies, and teams. Hey, you just got to realize, don't take it personally. You'll get hung up there. And if you do, it's just going to prolong this process, and it's going to slow you down in being able to make the necessary pivot and adjustments that are necessary for you to stay in the game right now. So that's number one. Don't take it personally. No plan is immune from disruption. Okay. So we're in a disruption right now, and everybody's plans have been affected. So now it's about what we do. How do we respond? It's the response to this moment that is going to really shape and determine what our outcomes are in this season. So here's the second thing that I want to suggest. The first is don't take it personally. The second is acquire the information. You need to acquire as much information as you can, as quickly as you can, about what has changed, what is now off the table, what options are still available. You need to acquire this information. It's important that you do so. Sometimes it's as simple as getting together with your team and brainstorming and so forth. Other times you may really have to pay attention. You may have to talk to colleagues and peers, and you may have to do some research to figure out, okay, what really has changed. Sometimes what has changed evolves. We've kind of seen that happen in this pandemic health situation. So we've had to stay much more fluid and adjustable maybe than we wanted to be, because the information hasn't come all at once. It's trickled out to us, and we've had to assess it. This is true for us as individuals also. So we've gone from, you're going to have a mild disruption, to, okay, it's going to be a little more, to you're completely disrupted. Okay. So, but step two here, when things don't go as planned, is you need to acquire information. You need to know what has changed, what is off the table, what options are still viable. What are the options? You need to acquire this information. It's very, very important. You need to do it as quickly as you can. Here's the third thing: when things don't go as planned, you need to apply the information you've gained. Here's the thing: information acquired is only helpful if it's applied. If all you do is just have all this information, but you don't apply it to your new plan, to your new strategy of what you want to do, given the new situation, the new normal that we're facing, well, then all that acquiring of information is not helpful. Now, you might be able to go on some talk show and you might be able to do a podcast and you might be able to give, hey, here's all the information, but it won't really be helpful unless you can apply it to your new strategy and your new plan. You need to take that step. It's very, very important. Don't get stuck in the analytical loop. This happens to us. We're just, well, let's wait and see. I get it, but it's easier to steer something that's moving. So the quicker you can acquire information and begin to apply that information to a new plan and get moving on it, the easier it is. And if the information changes, it's easier to steer something already in motion. Okay. So don't get stuck in the analysis loop. Here's the fourth thing I want to share with you, and that is act on this information. Don't just create a new plan, act on it. Put it into motion and get moving. Like I said a moment ago, it's much easier to steer and make adjustments to something that's already in motion than something just sitting there waiting to happen. That gets us stuck. We don't move very effectively. So what we need to do is recognize that we have a choice. This idea of acting, and there's choices of how we act. All you have to do is look across social media feeds right now, and you'll find that some people have opted for pouting and blaming and complaining about this situation. Now, I get it. It's not fun. We don't like it. And we may need a safe place to vent those emotional experiences that we're all having. I get that. We may need some time to grieve what we've lost as far as what was our normal. I understand. But we can't get stuck there. And here's my experience: where complaining and blaming start, that's where real progress stops. Yeah, where complaining and blaming begins, progress typically ends. So if our goal is to move on and still accomplish some things that matter in this season, even though our plans have been disrupted, then we want to act on this new information. So we don't want to take it personally. We want to acquire as much information as quickly as we can. We want to apply that new information to a new plan and strategy, and we want to act. But how we act, that's the big deal. You can pout, blame, and complain, but that's just going to lead to more frustration. And I don't know about you, but I've got enough frustration. I don't want to add to it right now. So what do I do instead? Well, I can assess, I can adjust, and I can adapt. And if I can do those three things, I can achieve things that really make a difference and still achieve some things that matter in this season. So I want to encourage you today that you have more power than you think. You may feel powerless. You may feel like everything's been taken out of your hand, but here's the deal. You have the power to choose. You get to choose where you go from here. That's right. Where you go from here. If you will apply the information and act on the information that you acquire, you can still make progress even in this challenging new normal. So quickly, let me just sum up again. When things don't go as planned, number one, don't take it personally. No plan is immune to disruption. Number two, acquire information. You want to acquire the new information as quickly and as effectively as you can. What no longer works? What options are off the table? What options are still available? What are the new options that we can consider? You need this information. And once you have it, you want to go to the third step, and that is you want to apply that information now to your new plan and your new strategy. Don't get stuck in the analytical loop. Get something in place and begin to move, because that's the fourth thing. You want to act on this information. And if the information changes, assess, adjust, and adapt. Yeah, it's easier to steer something that's in motion than something that is stuck in the analytical loop. So that's important. There's the four things. Don't take it personally. Acquire as much information and as you can, as quickly as you can. Apply that information to a new plan and strategy, and then act on it. Make sure when you act, you're not pouting, blaming, and complaining, because that shuts everything down and leads to frustration. You want to keep moving. You want to choose to move forward. You want to be able to assess, adjust, and adapt on the fly. And if you can do those things, I promise you, you're still going to achieve things that really matter in this season. The businesses, organizations, companies, and teams who can assess, adjust, and adapt are going to achieve. That's exactly right. Those who get stuck pouting, blaming, and complaining may not weather this very well. And that is certainly true for us as individuals also. There's opportunity here for us to achieve meaningful things in our individual lives, even though most of us across the country have some measure of stay at home, shelter in place measures that we're under. Here's the thing. Don't get so focused on what you don't have that you forget about what you do have. Choose to be grateful for the relationships and the things that you actually have. Make the investment in those. Okay, it's not going the way you planned. I get it. Don't take it personally. Acquire new information, apply it, and then act on it. And you can still make meaningful things happen in your individual life. You can learn, you can grow, you can improve, invest in relationships and see a return. This doesn't have to be a waste. We have the power to choose. And that's what I want to encourage you with today. When things don't go as planned, don't take it personally. Acquire as much information as you can, apply that information to a new plan, and act on that plan. And if you will learn to assess, adapt, and adjust, you can achieve, regardless of the season that you're in. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you again soon.